Long Island is known around the world for its great beaches, but now it's in the spotlight for something that's not so sunny: mortgage foreclosures. Suffolk and Nassau counties are near the head of the list, ranking second and third in most foreclosures in New York State. Worse yet, it's hurt the people who can least afford it.
Lower income communities on Long Island really have been devastated by the foreclosure crisis and what's happened with subprime mortgages. The rates have fallen a bit, but that's really more due to a delay in the documentation process. So this continues to be a significant issue for many of the communities on Long Island.
But foreclosures aren't just bad for individual homeowners, they're bad for neighborhoods. Homes in foreclosure are sometimes neglected by the banks that take possession of the property. Ignored and unmaintained, they fall into disrepair and become vacant eyesores. And in New York, it can take between 2 and 3 years before a foreclosure is settled. Comptroller DiNapoli wants to change that.
In New York, there is a requirement that if there's a property that's foreclosed, if the bank is in effect holding the mortgage, that they are then obligated to maintain the property for the well-being of the community. We're going to make sure that, in fact, that's being adhered to. We're going to do a survey and check in with localities across the state to see if that law is being complied with.
But there's another downside of foreclosures that can't be fixed as easily as a broken window or overgrown lawn. When foreclosed properties go back on the market, they often depress property values. Foreclosures can mean a bargain for house hunters, but it's no bargain when you look at what they do to our neighborhoods and to housing value. And that's bad news for all New York taxpayers.
Well, as we all know, homeownership is an important part of the American dream, and no one wins when you have a foreclosure. Certainly the family that loses the home are affected. There are no winners, and very often when a property goes into foreclosure, and if the property is neglected, it really has a very negative impact on the entire community. So it's really in everyone's interest to see that we do all that we can to prevent foreclosures when they do happen, to be sure that the property is maintained until new ownership is identified.